What's going on, family? In this video, I want to go over the report released from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, late last week, and it details existing home sales right now in our country. And you want to pay attention to this if you're in the market to buy or sell real estate, because it has some gems that many people may overlook. But if you dive into the details, you will find what you need to put yourself in position to get that home you want or to sell your home for top dollar. Let's go. Real quick, before we dive in, I am Sir Ashley, your real estate advisor. And on this channel, we talk about personal finance, real estate, and Charlotte. I recently put out a housing update for June 2023 for the greater Charlotte region. If you haven't watched that and you're interested in Charlotte, please go ahead and check that out. This right here is a market update for the national housing market according to a report released from NAR just last week. NAR is the National Association of Realtors. Let's dive into it. So as you see, we're giving a June update, but for June, we look at May numbers because June numbers have not been released yet. Let's go on with the article. And here we are looking at the total existing home sales for May 2023. And right now we're on pace for 4.3 million homes to be sold this year. Now, yes, a projection of 4.3 million homes is a far cry from the 6.3 from January we were projected for back in January 2022. So we've seen a crash in transactions. I told you that was coming, and here we are, we're experiencing it right now. And the median home sale right now is $396,000 nationally. Now, if you look at the numbers, while we have been going up since January of this year, we are actually down from May of 2022. We're actually down 3.1%. So all the people that are saying there's a housing crash, I guess on the national scale, they're right in the sense that housing prices have declined year over year by 3.1%. But what they won't tell you is that it's actually less affordable to buy a home because interest rates are near 7%. And last May, interest rates were still around 4-5%. So although prices have come down 3.1% as we see, and I think based on the numbers that come out next month for June, that gap will be even wider because last year at this time, most home buyers were overbidding for homes and homes were selling for significantly over asking price, about 105 to 110%, depending on where you are in the country, above the asking price. And right now we do have a competitive market, but it's not that competitive. And homes are selling anywhere from 94 to 98% of the asking price. So you will see that year over year decline go even wider as we go on into the June numbers and the July numbers. Now, real quick, before we move on to the next slide, if you take a look at this, I believe that home prices will remain around these levels so long as interest rates do not go below 6% and there's not a splurge of inventory hitting the market. So we're gonna have a pretty flat housing market as far as price is concerned, if you ask me, on a national level. Now you have your outliers. You have cities like Miami where prices just keep going up and up and up. Now let's go on to the next slide where it talks about the total existing home sales, the percentage change year over year. Now year over year, you see that the total existing home sales declined over 20%, 20.4% year over year. And there, I said it again, you will have a crash in transactions. But even with the higher rates right now, you see the decline is actually less than it was back in April of 2023. So the market is remaining pretty stable in the sense that while there's less sales, there's fewer sales, if that makes sense, than it was just last month. Moving on. Now, this is the Realtor Confidence Index survey. Now, a lot of people will have you believe that nobody can afford a home. And I will tell you, home affordability is at some of the lowest levels on record. It is very difficult to buy a home, but people are still doing it. And as we saw, we're on pace to sell 4.3 million homes this year. But if you look at this graph, you'll see that the number of first-time home buyers actually went up 1% this year compared to 2022. Right now, the percentage of buyers right now that are first-time home buyers are 28% compared to last year at this time, and it was 27%. Now, sale to investors, I'm sure a lot of you are happy to hear this. Sale to investors have gone down by 1%. It only makes up 15% of the market. Now, cash sales, that is still strong. Cash sales make up a quarter of home buyers right now. And you see that happening from people that have a home in a large metropolitan area. They sell it and they downsize. They have a lot of equity and they downsize, typically coming to the South, and they can buy that home outright with cash. And that makes up 25% of the market. Now, you will hear and see videos talking about the number of foreclosures rising. And I even had a call with my team this morning, and I said, be on the lookout. Foreclosures are picking up. That is a fact. But when you look at how much distressed sales make up the market, you will hear numbers talking about distressed sales up 100%. And technically that is true. Distressed sales are up 100% because they went from 1% of the market in 2022, and distressed sales now make up 2% of the market in 2023 for May 2023. So while the numbers are accurate, distressed sales are up 100%. In the whole scheme of things, it is still just 2% of the market. That's not even the national average, the norm on any given year. So you will see that number creep up month over month and year over year. But when you look at things and take a step back and see what the actual number is and not just get distracted by saying foreclosures are up 200%, 150%, you'll see, oh, that's because we as a country did not have foreclosures, at least on a large scale, for the past 2 to 3 years. So as we get back into the normal swing of things, yes, foreclosures will rise. Also, I want you aware, foreclosures will also rise because student loan payments are coming back. We're going into a rolling recession, meaning different parts of the economy will suffer a recession at different periods. So that means people will lose their jobs. And as people lose their jobs, unfortunately, they will not be able to make their mortgage payment. So you will see the number of notice of defaults, pre-foreclosures go up. But if these people have owned their homes for more than 18 months, they have significant equity in their home, and they can, while they're late on their payments, they can sell the traditional way without going through the entire foreclosure process. So be on the lookout for that. Now, this other key point I want to mention is the days on market. Days on market right now is still only 18 days nationally. In the Charlotte region, I believe it is 34 days, but nationally it is 18 days compared to 16 just last year. Now, this is unhealthy. Don't make fun of my handwriting, but having this low days on market just shows how competitive the market is based on, one, the lack of inventory, because while there are less buyers, there's even fewer inventory for those buyers to compete against, and we're seeing homes selling very, very fast in 18 days. I would like to see that number around 40 or 50 days, just to give a sense of relief for buyers to where they're not competing and having to go against multiple offers in this housing market. And as we go further along in this chart, you will see where the competition is occurring. There's opportunity, but there's competition in certain price points, and we'll get to that very soon. This chart talks about the existing home sales by region. Now, sales by price point is something you have to pay attention to. Depending on your price point and what you're looking for, it could be very competitive. Or on the flip side, you could not have any competition at all and get an excellent deal in this market where there are few buyers in certain price points. Now, as you see on the chart, this one right here, between 250,000 and 500,000, that makes up 45% of all home purchases. Now, what I want to draw your attention to is that it is very competitive between $250,000 to $500,000 price point. That is where the majority of sales are coming in. But if you're in the $750,000 to $1 million price point, That's only 7% of the sales. But if you look at existing inventory and homes that have been on the market for quite some time, most of them are in this price point right here because there are just less buyers and less competition. So if you're looking for an amazing opportunity or just some good value, this price point right here is probably where it's at. You can probably get something for $20, $30, $100,000 below ask because there's not a lot of competition. Now, as we talked about earlier, the number of sales have come down. So it's not a shock to me that every price point is down in the amount of sales, but you see the $100,000 to $250,000 price point is down almost 18%. And the reason why I believe it's down 18% is because you just don't have that many properties in this price point anymore. But you see where the most competitive market is, the $250,000 to $500,000 price point, that's only down almost 12%, 11.8%. So a lot of home sales are still happening in this price point right here because this is right around where the median priced home is in America. Now, as we look further on this graph and you go to the higher price points, you'll see that there are just fewer sales the further along you go. You have almost 20%, you have 21%, and 22%. So because there's less competition in this bracket right here, you're able to get an amazing deal for the right seller. Not every seller is going to jump at your lowball offer, but if you have a seller that needs to sell, they're going to have to, one, do two things. One, get creative and seller finance or something like that. We can talk about that in another video. Or two, lower their price. It's their decision. So there we have it. The update regarding existing home sales right here in our country. And you got to see what is happening at different price points and the regions in our country regarding home sales or existing home sales. Now, existing home sales and new home sales are two different things. Existing home sales are down while new home sales are actually up. Builders are absolutely crushing it because they're able to offer different incentives. For existing home sales, more than not, you're going to be paying whatever the conventional rate is. And conventional rate right now is 6.19% nationally on June 26, 2023. But for new construction, they can offer incentives and buy down your rate. Toll Brothers did it last month. Now, their average home sale is around $700,000-800,000, but what they did was they brought down the rate to right around 5.5 or 5.25 if you use their preferred lender. And that drastically changes your monthly payment and saves you thousands and thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. If you have any questions regarding the housing market, please let me know. Also, please leave a comment letting me know if this was helpful. Do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the page and hit that bell icon while you're at it. I'm Sir Ashley. Talk to you soon.